some of these systems keeping the need for experimentation in mind rather than a finished product which is developed on day one. And I think the security implications of a lot of this are very obvious. I think what's happened with Citibank recently is a case in point, and I think that's just one of the many cases in point. And to Ajay's point about the moral turpitude, that is...
Sorry, I don't understand the links between the Citibank story and what you just said. Can you spell it out?
Okay, so for example, the ability for people to play with money. Okay, now it links back to their ability do we have the right controls in place, the security controls in place when we are handling large volumes of data which is particularly financial in nature. So we have, for example, many cases we have seen where people who had unauthorized or even authorized access to data have misused that access in order to perpetrate fraud, scams, and so on. And the contours of any solution that comes up is going to have to take into account the fact that it has to be a very, very secure solution. So now the funny point about all of this is that you will see that there are certain aspects which look contradictory to each other. So for example, the need to build in that level of sophistication, that level of security, how cost effective can it be if we're going to do that? How are we still going to be able to lower the cost of transactions? I don't think we have the answer just yet. And I'm hoping that, in the course of this discussion, we would also come up with some thoughts which would help us spur some innovation in this regard. But clearly, something new has to emerge. The developing world models just will not apply to us, especially when we're looking at the cost per transaction. And a lot of it will also come down to what extent we're able to reuse, as Ajay mentioned, the level of infrastructure that might have already been in place, be it CPUs, be it storage, be it networks, be it just manpower, knowledge, IP, whatever, because that will again help us bring down the cost per transaction, because any inclusion models which require a completely fresh set of innovations and investments to be made is just not going to cut it. We're going to have to find ways of getting around that. So with that, this thing, just close my remarks. Thanks, Ajay.
Mr. Narayanan.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. The key issue that we see with this is how to make this profitable. Once you get into a model which is profitable, then of course, one can drive very significant scales and things happen quite automatically because there's money in it. On the other hand, if we start off with it as a social cost, which it is, but that has its restrictions because any organization would not be able to pour money, be it private, be it government, or be it any other nature beyond a point of time. We believe that there is money to be made in this business, and money can be made with the social costs in mind, and models can be built around it. So we have gone around it and we have achieved a little bit of success, and now that is being carried by Allianz to other markets like Brazil, Indonesia, etc. So we started off with, there are about 210 million households in India. About 90% of them have no form of insurance. About 60% of them are completely excluded from any form of formal financial services. And about 95% have no health insurance. 90% have no life insurance. Savings and insurance products, there are available products which are there to serve this market, but they're not really widely available or widely marketed because it's not feasible to market them. And social security in India is practically